Bugo bags. Those are intense. I don't know how I'm doing this video off the top of my head too, so remember that. Not like I took my time. Most people are going to bug in. They're just not fit enough or strong enough, or a lot of people are on disability, and rightly so. But there are some people that are going to have to bug out, and can they do it? The funny thing about a bug out bag compared to a hiking bag, one of the biggest things that changes is you can't have things that have only so many uses and are no good. So for example, I bought these matches, and there's about 20 of them in there, and they'll light in any weather, they'll light in rain, whatever. Zippo matches. You wouldn't take those. They would be useless. I wouldn't even take those hiking. I bought those to throw in my truck. But anything that only has so many uses is going to be no good, so you got to consider that. You know, you got titanium pots, you're like, okay, that'll last forever. Good thick ferro rod, probably get a good 2 to 5 years out of it. I mean, that's the other thing you got to look at. Does it have a long use where it finally is dead? Because, I mean, if it's got a couple years to it, like a ferro rod, and then over those 2 years, you could probably teach yourself how to rub 2 sticks together to create a fire. Or learn now. And so you're ready. But considering on what you're going to have in that pack is very important. And it can't just be things you throw away. It can't be things that are super heavy. I mean, I've seen guys say, oh, you need animal traps. You know how much those things weigh? Well, at the same time, what could you have? I mean, a lot of people want to carry ARs, AKs. I'm not sure about that. I mean, they're heavy. You take an AR, I mean, it can shoot a long ways, can give you protection. But are you going to be in battle, or are you going to be hunting more? Should you be carrying a compound bow? Maybe you should be carrying both. Maybe you should be carrying AK or AR or shotgun, whatever you choose. And then, of course, you're going to run out of bullets. You're always going to be resupplying on bullets and resupplying on food. So when you reach a town, probably better to go in at night. No light. Let your eyes adapt to the dark. Listen. Move slow. Think about how deer move. I used to hunt those a lot when I was younger. And they're smart. They're a really smart animal. They will sit in the hedgerows and only come out a little bit to graze. They keep that wilderness close to them. And they'll even go into a ditch. Half their body drops into a ditch when they walk. And not only that, they walk very slow because they know movement is what brings your attention. So if you study the white-tailed deer and you walk like the white-tailed deer, that would be one skill that the white-tailed deer just taught you. And are you going to have a fire at night? You'd be stupid if you did. You want to be in the black. Time to have a fire, and a very small fire would be during the day, and maybe if you dig a hole. A lot of things have to change about you. You don't want to be seen. You may even find yourself trying to cut a trail through a bunch of pricker bushes to get to the center and clean out the center, and then set up your tent or your tarp there. So it makes it very difficult for somebody to get to you, and you'll sleep a lot safer. But you just can't put anything in your pack with a bug-out bag. Can't even run a stove. I mean, I can't take my stove or my propane tanks. I mean, what are they going to last? A week, 2? It's a throwaway piece of garbage if it's a bug-out. A lot of it is items that are going to last forever or for a very long period of time, like a ferro rod. And that's the thing you're looking for. So, like yesterday, I sat down and I was making fire starters and got my cotton balls and put put some Vaseline on them and threw them in a Ziploc. I usually use those to hit them with the ferro rod and start them to start a fire, but you're not going to be doing that when you only got so many. And a lot of people, you know, what's one of the things everybody takes in their pack when you hike or when you do anything? They take toilet paper, TP. Well, I don't care if you carry 1 or 2 rolls. It's not going to last forever. Sooner or later, if you're walking, you're going to run out of TP. What do you do then? You know, I actually carry a squirt or a sprinkler system that attaches to a water bottle that you fill up with water and you squeeze it tight and it sprays to clean yourself. And I also carry TP toilet paper. But if I ran out of TP, I would still have that as long as I have a water source, and that's everywhere in Tennessee. Staying clean is probably going to be one of the #1 largest things that you're going to try and do if you had to bug out. And staying clean is going to keep you healthy. So when you come across a water source, I mean, if it's not the middle of the winter, you're probably going to want to strip down, jump in, clean yourself up, jump out, and say, okay, I'm clean again. It's not so much about smelling good, it's about being clean. And that's going to be the big thing. Certain things like medical supplies, and you only carry so much, that when you get a cut, you want to hit it and with antibiotics and stuff. I mean, that stuff's going to be worth its weight in gold. You can't carry a lot, but hopefully if you walk slow like a deer and you pay attention, you're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get scratches. You're going to be a lot more protected. Your way of life is going to change on how you think and what you do. And you're probably going to walk more at night than you are during the day. During the days when you sleep, when it's going to be warmer. And that's what deer do. Deer walk at night and sleep during the day. And they bed down. Makes it harder to see them. So, a lot of people talk about their fancy gadgets in their so-called bugout bag. But I don't think they consider the basics and how it keeps them feeling pretty good. You know, a full belly, not having any sickness, makes you strong. But what happens if all of a sudden you do catch the flu? What do you do then? You just lay there under the tree and say, God, I hope this passes? Are you going to have the strength to set up your tent or your tarp? You hope you do. Because now you just might have to lay there for a week. So the odds of people bugging out are very, very slim. And the ones that do bug out are the ones that had no choice. Would be a situation like, you know, all down the East Coast, you got nuclear factories, and they're all way too old. They should have been shut down years ago. If one of them went off, and you heard about it on your wind-up radio or battery-operated radio, you would probably now have to get out of there before the radiation comes in. Or hunker down into a basement or something until most of the radiation passes and then get out and move. But at any point, you're not going to bug out unless you really, really have to. Now, if your vehicle's working and you got gas, well, how far are you going to go? A tank? You might get gas once at one gas station if it's something, a major event. I mean, sooner or later, the vehicle's going to stop. Especially the way they make gas now. It all deteriorates within 2 to 3 months. Within a year, there'd be no gas. That would be the end of it. So, a lot to consider with that, but I think the only ones bugging out are the ones that are the ones that have no choice. And if you look at your homeless people on the street, they remind me of the cats on my porch. I've got these 4 cats that hang out on my porch. They were strays. And ever since my wife started feeding them, they live on my front porch. They, I mean, they're laying on the concrete today. They're laying on the sidewalk. Heck, I got one that lays on top of the roof. And I mean, first thing in the morning, you know, it's 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, my wife's out there feeding them, and they're all jumping up and down, and they're all happy. So I thought that was kind of funny. And yet, if you watch videos on homeless people, they all hang around the churches that feed them. They're kind of like cats, except that most of them are doing meth. Their lives are destroyed. But a cat is very much like a homeless guy. Wherever the food is where they hang out. That's what they do. Now, maybe homeless people would have a better shot at it if a major event happened, because they already know how to sleep in the elements. They know how to do all that. The only thing they would have to learn is, where do I get food? And now that all the buildings are wide open for them to, go through, they might just do better than you. They've already got 90% of the skills for surviving in a major event if shit hits a fan. And they already know how to sleep on the hard concrete. They already know how to do all that. The only thing that would go crazy with them is probably be hard to get their meth, and they'd probably go through withdrawal pretty quick. But they do have some skills. Might want to pay attention and look at them a little bit more. See what they're doing. You might be able to learn a few things from them. But I would say the majority of the people, 99.9% of the people, if they actually bug out, they would die. Maybe your hikers would do better because they're used to hiking days out in the wilderness, but it would be pretty rough. The ones that hunker down, the ones that have the food, the ones that have the water, well, that's a whole new video and a whole new game. I might make one on that. What do you guys think? Do you think bugging out is even possible? Or do you think it's a suicide? Do you think people can survive? Do you think there's a handful of people that will survive? Or do you think it's just a waste of time even thinking about or even building a bag for? Let me know what you think. Catch you guys on the next one.